and welcome to Your Health. You know, it's been a very interesting year, a couple of years, but you realize during this period of time, you need to be concerned about your health. You're responsible for you, especially when it might be hard to get in to see a doctor. Carl Schmidt's with us today, and you're a naturopath.
Yes.
And you are the owner of the Herb Shop located in Montgomery on Vaughan Road. And you guys are open, what, 6 days a week?
Yes.
Okay, Monday through Saturday.
Monday through Saturday.
Closed on Sunday.
Closed on Sunday.
Good to have it that way. Carl, every time you turn around, and especially in the state of Alabama, we hear chronic diseases that are affecting people. And in Alabama, and especially with the coronavirus that's happened, they keep bringing up the word, if you have diabetes. Let's talk a little, because I do have diabetes. So I want you to give me some ideas, and then in about a month or so, we're going to see how some of these things that you want me to do are going to have an effect on A1C as well as blood sugar.
Well, you know, over 100 years ago, when our country was developing, we found that certain foods didn't stay shelf stable long enough to be sold. And so, for example, breads and grains got processed where they started removing more and more of the nutrition out of the food and made it more of the simple carbohydrates. And it was those nutritions, the B vitamins, the E, the different fat-soluble vitamins, and other nutrients like chromium and vanadyl and trace minerals that were in more wholesome food that helped manage blood sugar. But when the diet started going into these, what we would call fast carbs or starches, then we started having more of this diabetic in the population. And it's because our food was void of nutrition. And then medicines came along to try to manage the diabetes, but we never went back to where the nutrition was important. And so it's that nutrition, and because the foods we eat often don't have things, that's where supplementing comes in to add back what your food's missing. And we find often with routine supplementation of the right formulas, then people with blood sugar with A1Cs and 8, 9, even 12, we can gradually get them into a manageable range of blood sugar.
Okay, so basically, when we would be eating a meal, it's giving us everything we needed if it was done the right way. And again, even fruits and vegetables, a lot of times they said, how come that apple's lasting so long? You know, they can do something to an apple to make it last 3 or 4 months.
Unfortunately, many foods are genetically modified, altered, and the average vegetable or fruit travels over almost 2,000 miles. Many things are grown outside of America, and they're picked very early in the process. So the real nutrition gets into a fruit or vegetable near the time of peak of ripeness. One time in my life, I had a peach orchard. It had 1,400 peach trees. And, when we had jams and jellies made, they used much less sugar in making our batch of jellies compared to other growers, because that ripeness was a big factor. And then we were in transitional organic, so our soil was healthier, our plants were healthier.
So basically, right now, you say that if a person has diabetes, the liver is a very important part of what it's about. Explain to how that works.
Well, we all know that eating too many carbohydrates and simple sugars turns to belly fat, but we also get fat in our liver. And so a fatty liver can be a very common scenario in diabetes. And as a person goes through a day, that hunger feeling, if we don't eat, our body theoretically will start to burn up stored fat. But the conversion of that process, the liver needs to work very efficiently. And a fatty liver cannot work efficiently. And so generally in natural health or holistic health, we look at doing things seasonal, like we call it cleansing or detoxing. And different people may have pre-perceived ideas what that means, but the gist of it is we want to get the liver a chance to purge and clear so that it can work better in the months to follow.
And how long does that normally take? And should you do it like twice a year, detox
Yes,
at least?
It depends on your age and
Okay.
other factors and lifestyle history, but generally a week of more of a modified diet and the supplements that are more targeted to the liver. And then some people, if they have more of a history of issues, they may need to maintain with something that helps the liver work all the time.
When you're doing a normal blood test, like if you go to your doctor and they run the gamut of all the blood tests, is there a portion on there that addresses the liver to where you can say, okay, here's a red, a little,
Yeah.
they either,
Generally, we need the lipid profile, your LDL, your HDL, the triglycerides. The triglycerides are a byproduct of having too much sugar in your system too often. And the LDL is the bad cholesterol, and it can be a culprit to that. And then the actual liver numbers that are most common are abbreviated with ALT and AST and alkaline phosphatase, and that's the process of the liver. And those values in combination and ratios of those values gives us an indication that you have a propensity to having a fatty liver. And so when I look at a blood panel, I'm looking for a very optimal number. So I have a very narrow range. So on those AST and ALT, I have about a 15-point spread that I really want to keep that in, whereas a medical doctor says everything's fine with a 40-point spread. So I'm much more stringent because I can recommend a diet or supplements that will get me into that range, whereas most medications put a stress on the liver, and many common American lifestyles puts a stress on the liver. So the doctor says you're normal. So normal blood work to a medical doctor is the average population standard. Optimal is what would be the best standard, and that's what we strive for when we talk to people.
so once you do the detox, which is very important, then the main thing you've got to do right after that is then change your lifestyle.
Right, you've got to keep making those a week of a more stringent diet gives you the confidence that you can go on further and maintain some of those habits you picked up during that week, so that each year you can get better instead of worse.
Good. So just as Carl said, you need to be able to take care and monitor the things you're doing, but make sure that you will at least visit the herb shop, find out about some supplements, because if they're missing, they can be the magic that can help you to a better life. And we'll be right back right after this.